Imagine a world where two of the most ferocious fighters in combat sports history stand across from each other, locked in a battle for ultimate supremacy. One, a relentless force of nature with bone-crushing punches, a man whose name alone strikes fear into his opponent's Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. The other, a grappling machine with an iron will, a warrior who's never tasted defeat, suffocating his foes with unbreakable pressure, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the undefeated king of the octagon. What would happen if these two legends, masters of their own domains, collided in a fight unlike anything the world has ever seen? Would raw, unfiltered power prevail, or would elite technique and unshakable discipline reign supreme? This isn't just about boxing versus MMA. It's about two titans from different eras, different styles, and different mindsets. Tyson, with his explosive speed and knockout power, bulldozed through the heavyweight division in his prime, dismantling opponents with terrifying efficiency. Khabib, a man built for the grind, never allowed his rivals an inch of breathing room, dragging them into deep waters before drowning them in relentless pressure. They were both dominant in their own right, but what happens when they're thrown into the same battlefield? Picture the scene, the lights dim, the air thick with anticipation. Fans from all over the world, from the streets of Brooklyn to the mountains of Dagestan, are watching, their hearts pounding as these two warriors step forward. The contrast between them is striking. Tyson, a walking storm of aggression, eyes locked in a cold, unforgiving stare. Khabib calm as ever, the embodiment of discipline, his focus unwavering. Two paths, two legacies, but only one question: who walks away victorious? The fight world is no stranger to debates about dream matchups, but this one is different. It's not just a fight between two fighters, it's a clash of ideologies. Tyson's philosophy is built on destruction. Eliminate the opponent before they have a chance to react. His famous words, "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth," are a testament to his ruthless approach. Khabib, on the other hand, is a master of control. He doesn't just defeat opponents, he breaks them mentally and physically, imposing his will until they have no choice but to surrender. The unstoppable force meets the immovable object who bends first. But this isn't just about skill. It's about mentality. Tyson's upbringing, his years under the tutelage of Q's D'Amato, his rise and fall, all shaped him into a fighter who relied on sheer ferocity. Khabib, molded by the harsh terrains of Dagestan, trained from childhood in combat, growing up wrestling bears and learning discipline from his father, became a warrior with an unbreakable spirit. If these two fighters were placed in the same ring, in the same arena, with the world watching, what unfolds? As the fight begins, the tension is suffocating. Tyson bounces on his feet, a coiled spring ready to explode. Khabib, measured and calculating, keeps his distance, eyes analyzing every movement. The first strike could decide everything. Tyson lunges, his fists a blur, the sheer force behind them capable of ending the fight in seconds. But Khabib is no ordinary opponent. He slips, counters, closes the distance, and that's where everything changes. What happens next is something no one could predict. Tyson's fists cut through the air like cannonballs, the sheer velocity making the crowd gasp. Every twitch of his muscles screams destruction, his decades of boxing mastery coming alive in a raw display of speed and power. But Khabib doesn't flinch. He studied chaos, thrived in it. His body moves with precision, slipping just outside the danger zone, avoiding Tyson's deadly range by inches. Then, like a wolf stalking its prey, he steps in fast, calculated, merciless. A single opening is all he needs. He latches onto Tyson with the grip of a man who's spent his entire life perfecting one thing: control. For a moment, there's a shift in the atmosphere. The crowd knows what's coming. Tyson, a man who spent his life standing toe-to-toe with giants, suddenly finds himself in an unfamiliar world. Khabib's hands snake around his waist, his pressure suffocating. Tyson, known for his devastating ability to explode out of clinches, tries to pry free, but Khabib's grip is relentless. It's not just strength, it's years of muscle memory, thousands of hours spent perfecting this exact moment. This isn't a wild scramble, it's execution. But Tyson isn't just any opponent. He's spent years sharpening his explosiveness, turning his body into a weapon capable of obliterating even the toughest challengers. With a sudden burst, he drives an uppercut from an angle no one expects, his fist colliding with Khabib's ribs. The impact is monstrous. Khabib staggers for a fraction of a second, a moment so brief that only the sharpest eyes catch it. Yet, even in pain, he doesn't let go. His father taught him long ago that a single moment of hesitation can be the difference between victory and defeat. Somewhere in the crowd, legends of the fight world watch in disbelief. Fighters who spent their careers dominating their respective sports are witnessing something that defies logic. Boxers whisper among themselves, Tyson only needs one shot. Just one clean hit, and it's over. But the MMA veterans shake their heads. Khabib has dragged world-class strikers into his realm before, turning their confidence into panic with his relentless pressure. This is what he does. He doesn't trade blows. He drowns his opponents in control, turning their strengths into weaknesses. The battle isn't just physical, it's psychological. Tyson, a man who once struck fear into the hearts of the most seasoned heavyweights, now faces a foe who doesn't break. Khabib, who's never known defeat, finds himself tested against a fighter who spent his life defying odds. The chess match continues. Tyson adjusts, trying to create space, but Khabib counters, dragging him deeper into his world. Every attempt to strike is met with a shift in weight, a repositioning, a lock tightening around him. For the first time, uncertainty creeps into Tyson's mind. He's fought monsters before, but this is different. The ring feels smaller, the space tighter. Khabib doesn't let him breathe, doesn't give him room to unleash the storm that made him legendary. The crowd is split, some calling for Tyson to land that one perfect shot, others watching in awe as Khabib pulls him further into the abyss. The seconds stretch into eternity. The anticipation is unbearable. Something has to give. The tension in the air is suffocating, a thick, electric charge pressing down on the crowd as they watch two of the most dominant forces in combat sports history collide. Tyson's breathing is sharp, his muscles coiled like a predator searching for an opening, but Khabib's grip is unwavering, his body locked against Tyson's like an unbreakable chain. The energy shifts, a silent war playing out between sheer power and suffocating control. And then something unexpected happens. Khabib does what no one predicted. Instead of forcing Tyson to the ground immediately, he lets go. Just for a second, the crowd gasps. Tyson stumbles forward slightly, momentarily thrown off by the sudden absence of pressure. It's a gamble, a calculated risk, and it speaks volumes. Khabib is testing something. He wants to see if Tyson will lunge, if his instinct will be to unleash a punch in the split second of freedom. And Tyson does. A right hook, fast and violent, a punch designed to end everything. But it's exactly what Khabib was waiting for. Like a predator setting a trap, Khabib ducks under the punch and shoots forward with the speed of a bullet, wrapping his arms around Tyson's legs. The impact sends a shiver through the arena. This is the moment. The second Tyson's back touches the mat, the energy shifts again, more violently than before. The crowd erupts into chaos. For the first time in his life, the man once called the most dangerous fighter on the planet is flat on his back, pinned beneath an opponent who thrives in this exact position. The shock isn't just in the audience. Tyson's eyes widen for a brief second, realization setting in. He thrashes, trying to roll, but Khabib is a master of weight distribution. Every movement is met with a counter. Every attempt to escape is suffocated. Tyson is still dangerous, even from his back, his fists slamming into Khabib's ribs with the kind of force that would crumble most men. But Khabib doesn't flinch. He adjusts, shifts his weight, and suddenly Tyson's arms are no longer a threat. From the sidelines, fight analysts are in disbelief. The greatest knockout artist of all time is trapped, nullified. Some scream for Tyson to explode upward, to find the power that made him a legend. But Khabib is already 2 steps ahead. He moves seamlessly, his hands snaking higher, controlling Tyson's arms, climbing toward the inevitable. Tyson bucks, throwing every ounce of his strength into one last desperate attempt to stand, but then comes the twist no one saw coming. Khabib doesn't go for the submission. He doesn't try to finish the fight yet. Instead, he does something far more calculated. He talks. Leaning in, pressing his weight down, he speaks directly into Tyson's ear, his voice calm, unshaken. No one in the crowd can hear the words, but Tyson's expression changes. The fury in his eyes flickers, just for a moment, replaced by something else. Confusion. Shock. Whatever Khabib says, it strikes deeper than any punch. A shadow flickers across Tyson's face, his body still locked beneath Khabib's relentless pressure. The fight world watches in stunned silence, trying to decipher the words whispered in the storm of battle. Tyson's breathing slows just slightly, his muscles still brimming with tension, but something in his eyes shifts. He's fought through pain, through chaos, through wars that broke lesser men, but this moment, this is different. Khabib isn't taunting him, isn't gloating. His voice is steady, almost calm. The words are lost in the roar of the arena, but their impact is undeniable. Then, with the sudden force of a man reclaiming his destiny, Tyson explodes upward. His body twists violently, muscles surging with the kind of raw power that made him a legend. Khabib holds firm, but even he isn't immune to Tyson's brute force. A fraction of an inch, that's all Tyson needs. He finds just enough space to slip an arm free, and before anyone can process it, he throws a hammer-like strike from the ground, smashing into Khabib's temple. The impact echoes through the arena. Gasps ripple through the crowd. But Khabib doesn't break. He absorbs the shot, his grip adjusting instinctively, his body shifting in a way that no ordinary fighter could manage under such force. Instead of retreating, he presses forward, weaving his way into an even more dominant position. Tyson roars, a primal sound of frustration and determination, but Khabib has him locked again, this time in a position far worse. The crowd knows what's coming. Then, the moment arrives. Khabib moves with surgical precision, trapping Tyson's arm, adjusting his weight, and locking in the submission. The arena seems to hold its breath. Tyson thrashes, muscles straining, eyes wild with defiance, but Khabib's grip is unshakable. Every escape route is sealed, every struggle met with resistance. For the first time in his fighting career, Tyson is in a position where brute strength alone won't save him. The referee watches closely, the tension in the air unbearable. The seconds stretch, the world frozen in anticipation. Tyson clenches his jaw, his breath ragged, his body still fighting against the inevitable. The crowd is divided, some screaming for him to find a way out, others realizing what's about to happen. Then, after what feels like an eternity, it happens. Tyson's hand hovers in the air, the fire in his eyes burning until the last possible second before he taps. A shockwave of disbelief erupts through the arena. The baddest man on the planet, the most feared knockout artist in history, has just submitted. The referee rushes in, separating the fighters, and Khabib immediately releases the hold, stepping back with that same quiet, disciplined composure he's always had. Tyson sits up, his chest heaving, sweat dripping, his fists still clenched, but there's something else in his expression now. Not anger. Not humiliation. Something deeper. Khabib extends a hand. For a brief moment, there's only silence. Tyson looks at him, the intensity still burning in his gaze. Then slowly, he reaches out. Their hands clasp, a moment of understanding passing between them, two warriors, two legends, two men who just tested each other in a way no one else ever had. The crowd erupts into cheers, not just for the winner, but for the battle itself. As the noise shakes the arena, a camera catches Tyson's face, and for the first time that night, he smiles, not the cocky smirk of a knockout artist, but the knowing grin of a man who has seen the depths of combat and come out the other side with something greater than victory. He nods at Khabib, acknowledging what just happened, acknowledging the war they waged. And then, with a final glance toward the roaring crowd, he steps back, the respect between them forever cemented. The world will debate this fight for years. Fans will argue over what would happen if the rules were different, if Tyson had landed that one clean shot, if Khabib's grappling had been stopped. But those questions don't matter anymore. The fight has already given them the answer. In the end, it wasn't just about power or skill. It was about something deeper: respect, willpower, and the unbreakable spirit of a fighter. And as the lights dim and the echoes of battle fade, one truth remains. Legends may come from different worlds, but on this night, in this fight, they became something greater.